Hey guys, my name's Haley Howell, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the missionary biography of Adoniram Judson. I read the book called The Life of Adoniram Judson by Edward Judson, which is his son. And so just to kind of talk a little bit about who he is or who he was, and just a little backstory. He was born on August 9th, 1788 in Massachusetts, and died April 12th, 1850. As a little boy, he grew up, being super intelligent, being able to read at a really, really young age. He enjoyed reading his father's deep theology books because there wasn't really any children's books for him to read, so he read from his father's library. His father was a pastor, and so he grew up knowing who God was and knowing that, who Christ was and what that relationship looks like, but he didn't really have a really good relationship personally with Christ yet. He eventually went to Providence College, which is now called Brown University. He graduated at 19 in 1807 as a valedictorian. He graduated really, really young. While he was in college, though, he met a man named E. That they became best friends. E was not a Christian. He was an atheist. And so Adoniram, because of the people that were around him, he kind of drifted. He was never an atheist himself, but he definitely wasn't partaking in the faith any longer. After he graduated, he started teaching at Plymouth Private Academy. During that time, he was only there for a year, but during that time, he wrote 2 different textbooks. He wrote The Elements of English Grammar and The Young Lady's Arithmetic. After that, he kind of just traveled around, and he kind of felt the Holy Spirit kind of bringing him back. And so he decided in 1808 that he was going to begin his journey back to the life of Christ. And that same year, he went and decided to go to the Theological Institution at Andover. At that time, in 1809, so about a year later into his studies, he felt the call to foreign missions. He didn't know exactly what that would look like. It kind of made him nervous, and honestly, during that time, who knows what it looks like in other places. Traveling is really hard. And so he ended up taking that call to Christ and committing himself to that. One of the things that kind of led him to, continue that call was a sermon called The Stars in the East. And it was a gospel message to bring the gospel to India. So because of this, even though later on he says that sermon wasn't that great, it still spoke to him. And the Lord kind of just spoke through that sermon for him to continue on his journey. He ended up marrying Anne, and Anne Hazelstein, and they ended up traveling with a group of people to participate in foreign mission work in India. On their journey, he was translating the Bible to Brahmins, and he came across the word baptism. And when that was translated, it means immersion. And so the people that actually sent this group of people over were not Baptists and did not believe in immersion. And so he had to decline their support at on their journey. And he ended up creating, because of this and because there was no Baptist support in the United States, he created the Baptist Mission Society. So because he was translating the Bible, for the Brahmins, because they did not have access to that, he also created a dictionary for them. And he was able to actually hand those out. It wasn't just communicating. He was able to write that stuff down for them. So just a few things that I learned about his journey was he went through some really hard times. He lost both of his wives. He lost his first wife, and then he got remarried and lost his second. And he was also put in prison. And so even though we go through hard times, and he definitely went through some extremely, hard times, the Lord works through those, and he still provided great gospel conversations for him and great missionary work. And also, just at the time that he was on mission, it was a very hard time. There wasn't just the little things, didn't have AC, didn't have the little things that we have now. And so it makes me feel humble that, he committed himself to a life. And so those are just a few things that I took away from his missionary journey and what I read. I hope you guys enjoyed and hope you learned a little bit about Adoniram Judson. Thank you.